Good afternoon and welcome to my action research proposal. My name is Paul Thompson, so what I want to introduce to you is my proposal which is going to look at application number and trying to improve overall success rates. Before I move on, I'm just going to quickly show you the model which I'm going to be using today for my action research cycle. This is the model which I like to follow. I have an identified problem. I have identified possible action which I'd like to carry out. I have an intervention strategy, which is what I'm going to do to get it there. I'm going to monitor the strategy, I'm going to then evaluate, and then back to the identified problem. One thing with quality is that it would always go round in that circle to improve, so whatever I implement or whatever I do, I can always go round in the circle to help improve overall quality. And likewise, if I felt that the problem wasn't rectified or sorted out initially, then obviously we're back to the identified problem and the process starts again. So this is the cycle which I'll follow not only for this project but for all other areas of quality improvement which I'll be working on. So if I just move on quickly to my research proposal, my identified problem is that I've identified that I have learners that have relevant GCSEs A to C, which have now expired, and now they've just expired, they're due to sit their tests, and what I've noticed is that these learners have lower success rates than learners that have worked through the portfolios from the beginning. So my intervention strategy would be to implement a skill to check for the AON requirements. So it's identifying a checklist which can help identify what they've got or what they need to help get them to the set level. So the fact that they've had their GCSEs and they've had that void of about 5 years where they haven't used the skills and they haven't used all the things that they would have used at school is now becoming apparent. So that's where I've identified a problem, and this is what I'm going to do to try and fill in the gap and help them get to the required level. Okay. In terms of how I can measure it, obviously first time success rates, currently that's looking at around about 60% overall for those people that have GCSEs with expired, so we've got a 40% failure rate with those, compared to those that have worked on the portfolios or who haven't used the expiry dates from the beginning. They've got a success rate of around 70–75%. So there's about 10–15% difference between those that have used or had used the relaxation process to those that haven't. So there's a bit of a gap there. And obviously learner satisfaction as well. Obviously their input and their quality in terms of what they give back be recorded. So we can monitor how they feel about what I've done and how I'm helping them. So that's my proposal. Any questions?
Can I ask about initial assessment? I mean, so surely you carry out initial assessment on these people?
At the beginning, obviously, of the course of the initial assessment is carried out. That identifies their needs. This is obviously that identifies that they're working at the correct level. So it's until you start working with them that you identify.
And what is the correct level then?
They're working at level 1. We're working at level 1 AON.
Right, so their GCSE results are saying they're above that level?
They're above. They're above what's required.
And their initial assessment saying they are on or above?
Yeah.
So sort of saying they don't require much more work, is that what you mean?
That's it. It implies that there's very little work to do.
Okay, so...
But you've got a gap between those people that have had the GCSEs and then they're trying to...
And also there's a contradiction actually in, so what the initial assessment GCSE results are telling you and what they're actually capable of, there's a gap.
Yeah, there's a big gap.
Okay.
And that's where, I'm looking to close that gap.
So does the company identify that actually initial assessment that actually you don't need to spend much time on their exam? Is that what the company's procedures would tell you?
The company procedures, yeah, they would implement that.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, so I can see the issue now. I wasn't quite sure of the issue.
Yeah.
So there's this. So it's saying they're fine.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're sitting the exam.
GCSEs would imply that they're absolutely fine, but they've just expired. The initial assessment would say that they're working at the correct level, but actually, when you go to work with them, actually they're not. And they've got, you know, a failure rate which is much less than those people that.
But they've got the skills there somewhere.
Yeah, it's just practicing. Sometimes.
So that's why you think a checklist could be the way forward. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
it's just
Yeah, I'm with you now. Thanks.
Okay.
Do you think motivational issues could be there because obviously their qualification has expired? So.
Yeah, I mean, with regard to qualifications have expired, you've got to be careful because some people never feel that their qualifications expire, and they're not always aware that their qualifications expire. It's how you tackle it, and obviously, yes, it could be motivational in terms of getting them another qualification which is valid and relevant, but also you don't want to be demotivating in terms of telling them what they think they know and they don't. So the checklist will obviously try to bring that together in terms of just putting in a little stage of identifying what they know, what they don't know, and how we can help them without really, it doesn't necessarily mean that they feel that they're doing something or they feel that they're missing something. It's just identifying where we can help them and where we can implement a bit more.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So you've got learner satisfaction. Do they know you're doing a survey on them?
Yeah, they've got to have their involvement, we've got to get their permission.
Right.
And with the processes that we've got here anyway, that, you know, our reviewing process would indicate that they can collectively do a qualitative response on their review, so they can comment on what they're doing and how they're doing it. They've got to be made aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's fairness and equality. You've got to ensure that. But you know, they can always comment and make the option of making suitable comments with regard to their satisfaction, both verbally and in writing.
So your measure's quite clear then, being first-time success rates.
Yeah, I mean, I work with a cohort.
What's the time scales?
Well, I work with a cohort of 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, 22 within this age group?
Yes, approximately. Yeah. And obviously, with say the age group, you can compare them to other age groups as well. Because that's how I get my statistics in terms of first-time pass.
Yeah, but I was just thinking about the 5 years. They've got to be.
Yeah, but what I would do is typically turn those around in 6 months anyway, so I can measure the first 6 months and then the impact of the last 6 months.
So you've got the measure on the first 6 months?
Yeah, whether I've had, I know what we're getting now in terms of approximately 60%. I know where other people and other cohorts are getting in terms of what they achieve. And after 6 months, I should aim to improve or actually try and improve that gap.
So you've already implemented this, haven't you?
Yeah. This has been going for about 5 or 6 months.
Oh, right, so
this is something
we'll find out soon.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Would you be able to look at this in other qualifications? This is on AOM, would you put it across?
I would aim that, you know, that it's something that I do, and I would aim that other people could possibly take it on, so it would help other assessors in the workplace, and likewise it could be transferred into other qualifications. It's all about the process and identifying the gaps as opposed to reinventing the wheel or trying to develop lots of training. So it's quite simple in the sense of just identifying the gaps, right? Which helps me as the teacher, which helps obviously the learner in terms of their needs. Okay. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you very much for your time. I know we've run it once before and the video didn't work, so second time around. So thank you very much indeed.